From being an unknown face of the UFC to becoming the top-ranked heavyweight, Ciryl Gane has come a long way. He's known for his exceptional striking and dominant ground game, but what is it that makes him so dangerous? Well, for starters, he has solid ground game for a heavyweight. Gane is a tactician. He might not be the quickest on his feet, but as far as fight IQ goes, the Frenchman is on a different level. MMA fans already know he's a brilliant striker, but the way he traps his opponents into awkward positions is just amazing. Like the fight against Don'Tale Mayes. What a performance! Gane did everything right to trap him to get a heel hook submission victory. And don't even get me started about the arm triangle choke against Pessoa.
Look at this, look for a head and arm choke on the jiu-jitsu guy. Wow! Now the thing is, the problem for Gane is that,
there's the tap!
There's the tap!
Welcome to the UFC, Ciryl Gane!
I mean, it's mind-blowing how an absolute monster like Ciryl uses his body to isolate his opponents. And the reason I called him a tactician is because he's mentally breaking it all down. He knows he has to isolate his opponent's legs, arms, or whatever to bring them to his mercy. And that's exactly what makes him a deadly fighter. Also, since his next fight is against UFC legend Jon Jones,
vicious knee to the body and an uppercut.
Jones to the body, and it is all over! Jon Jones is the youngest champion!
I think Ciryl will be a much tougher opponent because he's so good on the ground.
Oh, he's going
Why
for it.
not?
He's looking for the heel hook.
Oh, he gets the tap!
No way!
But at the same time, it'll be a real test for him as well, since Jones is a beast on the mats. But yeah, seeing a heavyweight as smooth as Gane on the ground, that's definitely not something you see every day. Sure, he might not be as explosive as the former heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, but at least he can fight all 5 rounds. Weight class doesn't really matter if we're talking about longevity and stamina. I mean, even featherweights have trouble fighting all 5 rounds despite carrying minimal weight. But a heavyweight who has the endurance to last 5 rounds inside the octagon, now that's something super rare. Not if you're Ciryl Gane though. The fact that he possesses the gas tank to let fights play out is a scarce quality that makes him a very dangerous fighter. Normally, fighters competing in the heavyweight division are usually out of it after the first 2 rounds. Take Ngannou for example, and you could argue he doesn't need stamina since he's the hardest puncher in the world.
Oh, Kimura attempt here from Ngannou. Man, this guy is super strong. Look at this. He has
There's
it. He got it.
Wow! Francis Ngannou by submission, round 1.
But when you're up against a well-rounded fighter like Jon Jones, having enough gas in the tank to last all 5 rounds helps a lot. And by a lot, I mean it could literally be the deciding factor between victory or defeat. Or look at it this way, if a strategic fighter made someone like Ngannou go all 5 rounds by brilliantly controlling the distance, the Cameroonian giant would be a sitting duck by the 3rd round. He'd have no energy to evade strikes or fend off grueling takedowns. But that's not the case with Gane, because recall his matchup with Volkov? His opponent was completely out of it, but Ciryl? Well, it looked like he was just getting started.
And that is it! France has a UFC champion, Ciryl Gane, the interim UFC heavyweight champion. Total domination on the road tonight.
And that brings me to my next point. He has crazy stamina, but when you pair that with his technically superior striking, you get a different beast altogether. Or let me try to make that a bit simpler. When you combine his skill set, you get the perfect fighter. I mean, you could have all the stamina in the world, but if you can't find good openings, there's no point. But Ciryl excels at that, and it isn't just undirected swinging or something. He actually sets his opponents up before throwing a devastating strike. Plus, his ability to pick shots both from the inside and outside makes him one of the deadliest fighters in the division. Even if his opponent has elite defense, Gane locates an opening, baits them to give up their guard, and bam! A solid headshot to send his foes packing. Also, have you seen how he uses his elbows? I've never seen a heavyweight slash his opponents the way Gane does. And in case you don't believe me, just go ask Junior Dos Santos. Ciryl knocked him out cold with a brutal elbow strike to establish himself as a true force in the division.
His approach as he throws another right over the top.
Head movement from Bosa. Nice body shot there.
Throws her right back in the pocket, but Gane connecting on some shots and throws in a left knee.
But yeah, he's the perfect fighter. Lightning fast kicks, heavy punches, and slick elbows. The Frenchman has all the tools in his arsenal. But even then, all of that is of no use if a fighter doesn't have the mindset. Lucky for Gane, he's one of the calmest and most composed fighters out there. You're probably thinking why I keep dragging Ngannou into all of this, but just hear me out. This is important. The Predator might be the hardest hitter on the planet, but if I'm talking about composure, Ciryl is miles ahead of him. Instead of rushing in for a flashy knockout, the 31-year-old likes to take his time. He analyzes his opponents and finds weaknesses in their armor. And when he's located the most critical chink of all, it's game over. He still won't rush, but he'll just continue chipping away, doing more damage every single time. Plus, instead of making mistakes himself, Gane is really smart like that. He waits for others to rush and make a mistake so he can capitalize. Or think of it this way, there's a right time to attack. If your opponent is all charged up and connecting shots, it would be suicide to fight fire with fire. And I don't mean that's always the case. Sometimes fighting fire with fire is a fighter's best bet, but most of the time, it's often just about finding the perfect moment to attack. And Gane is a king at that. Oh, and how can I forget the experience he brings to the cage?
Match up with Rico Verhoeven with a couple of wins. Oh, eye trouble to the right eye of Mays. He's shelling up now as the big bombs are coming.
Beautiful head movement from Ciryl Gane.
The 31-year-old might have made his UFC debut back in 2019, but as far as fighting goes, he's been at it since 2014. And he wasn't just getting by or something. The Frenchman is a former TKO Major League Heavyweight Champion, so he has experience. He's been in this business for quite some time, and that's probably also the reason why he's only lost one fight in his professional career. That too against Francis Ngannou. 10 wins with just one loss. I don't know about you, but that's nothing short of extraordinary in such a competitive division. But hold up, let's quickly go over everything I've said about him so far. He's calm and composed, has every weapon imaginable up his sleeve, knows how to fight on the ground, has the stamina to last all 5 rounds, and most importantly, has the experience to back it all up. It's the complete package, ladies and gentlemen, and while Jon Jones is an equally, if not more dangerous fighter, I bet he's super nervous going into the matchup against Gane. Finally, no one can manhandle him. This is typical of most heavyweights, but Ciryl is massive. He's a towering 6 foot 4 inches and has incredible reach. But like I just said, that's pretty common in the heavyweight division, but what isn't common is his frame. He's built like a truck, and while his opponents may seem matched in size, it's a nightmare to handle him. There's just no way to grapple him since he's so huge. And then his opponents have to worry about how skilled he is when it comes to coordination. He knows exactly what to do and when to do it. If his opponent is trying to take him down, Gane has exceptional control over his gigantic frame and probably seems like a boulder that's impossible to move. So yeah, that's why Ciryl Gane is the deadliest heavyweight in the UFC.